Millions of dollars had already appeared in my account, and everyone told me to stay quiet. But in response to my honesty, the bank manager revealed a secret that solved a years-old mystery. I had always believed that the most valuable thing in life wasn't money. It was information. The person with the right information usually wins the game. And the person with the wrong information often never realizes when they lost. That's why when $14 million suddenly appeared in my account on a Monday morning, I chose silence instead of celebration. I lived in a small suburban house outside Seattle. I was 47 years old and worked in the finance office of a large hospital. Every month, I reviewed my 401k contributions. My daughter was in nursing school, and I was still helping her with education loans. My life was an ordinary American life. Pay the bills, go to work, save for retirement, and hope no major medical emergency comes along. I was sitting at my breakfast table when I opened my banking app. First, I thought it was a glitch. Then I checked again, and then a third time. The money was still there. $14 million. I immediately took screenshots, saved the transaction numbers, and went to work. I told no one until lunchtime. That evening I spoke with my friend Karen. I briefly explained what had happened. She went silent. Then she said, "Don't tell anyone." "Why?" "Maybe they'll never ask for it back." I laughed. "The bank always asks for it back." "Still." I shook my head. "It's not my money." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "You always choose the hard road." "Maybe. But I don't react. Plan." The next morning I went to the bank. I reported the transfer. The woman at the counter looked at me as if she had never seen someone return money before. A few minutes later, I was escorted upstairs to the manager's office. His name was Michael. He was already waiting for me. The door closed. Silence filled the room. He placed a thick file in front of me. But he didn't speak right away. Neither did I. In chess, silence before the first move can be important. Finally, he opened the file. "Ms. Emma, this money was not transferred by mistake." I remained silent. "In fact, your honesty helped us solve a problem." Now I was interested. "What kind of problem?" He slid a photograph across the desk. The woman in the picture looked familiar. I knew her. She was my mother. My breathing slowed. "Why is this here?" He opened another page. Then another. Then another. Each one brought me closer to my past. "Your mother was a key witness in a financial fraud case back in 1987. I said nothing. That case was never fully solved. Now the game was changing. I had come to discuss money. But the conversation was heading somewhere else. Michael handed me a document. A name was printed at the top. Arthur Bennett. I had never heard it before. "Who is he?" "The man who left you this money." "I don't know him." "But he knew you." Silence filled the room. Michael continued. "Arthur Bennett was the accountant who worked with your mother during that fraud investigation." I sat up straighter. "And?" "He spent years protecting a secret fund." "Why?" "Because he believed the real criminal was never exposed." Now I was paying full attention. Michael opened the final file. "Arthur passed away 6 months ago." "And?" "He left the entire fund to you in his will." I stayed silent. But the story wasn't over. "He also left a letter." I began reading. The first sentence stopped me cold. "If you are reading this, it means time defeated me, but the truth is still alive." Kept reading. Arthur explained that my mother had risked her life to expose a massive financial fraud scheme. But the mastermind behind it was never caught. Shortly afterward, my mother died in what was ruled a suspicious accident. The police closed the case. Everyone called it bad luck. Arthur never believed that explanation. Then, near the end of the letter, I found a name. The name that solved a mystery that had lasted for years. Richard Hale. My late step-uncle. The same man who had always controlled the family's money and influence. The same man who took charge of all the financial records after my mother's death. I stared at the name for several seconds. Finally Michael spoke. Arthur left evidence as well. I opened the file. The evidence was complete. Bank records, emails, shell company documents, everything. I hired an attorney, then a forensic accountant. Then I turned every document over to the proper authorities. I didn't make noise. I didn't call the media. I didn't post anything on social media. I waited. Every move carefully planned. Every step completely legal. 2 months later, our family gathered for Christmas. Everyone was there. Richard's children, the attorneys, me. By then, the federal investigation had been completed. I simply placed an envelope on the table. Inside were the official findings. Richard's long-hidden financial fraud had finally been proven. The truth about his assets had come to light. Complete silence filled the room. No one accused me of anything. No one could. I had only revealed the truth. The truth did the rest. A few months later, the fund was legally transferred into my name. But the real victory wasn't the money. The real victory was that my mother's name had finally been cleared. A decades-old mystery had finally been solved. And I realized something important. Sometimes the greatest reward in life isn't wealth. It's answers. The answers you spend an entire lifetime searching for. And when they finally arrive, they change the entire board.